We are getting closer to the dollar per Bitcoin, but Refirm can also gain why, how, and a lot of new money in the market. Everything here in the video. Hey, and welcome to the Crypto Owl. I'm glad I can sit here and that everything is working again. You might have noticed my internet was down again. This is how it looks. The cable was missing. Anyone who looks into my timeline will see the photo, or rather, here is the bridge that is being rebuilt, and before that, there was the internet cable line. So you have to imagine that was my internet line, and it lasted a few more days. Then the new bridge came, and shortly after, more water came, and suddenly this cable was missing. And now they went and said, we will fix it in a highly professional manner, and wrapped it with duct tape. 2001. So yes, okay, it works again. Let's just be glad, we shouldn't complain. In any case, the internet is working again and I can make videos for you. It's all crazy. At some point, I will write a book about this internet line, because anyone who has paid a little attention to the Web3 World podcast knows that the problems have been ongoing for a while. So enough complaining, enough venting about certain internet and telecommunications providers. We are looking at the Bitcoin price, and 2001, it is a frustrating time, I must really say. So sit here wanting to make videos, and when I talk about Bitcoin in the videos, I always have to adjust the all-time high line. So I always have to adjust it in every video. It's really annoying. Yes, that's complaining at a high level. This morning it happened. We reached a new all-time high again, varying across different exchanges, so around 50 depending on which exchange you are on. There's quite a lot on offer, but then you see it here. Then it was struck and the sell-off started. And yes, that's also because we are here at Coinbase on the chart. Coinbase had a very heavily filled order book, especially just before I even posted that in our group. It's really unbelievably crazy what sell wall still needs to be broken here to absolutely crack this. If we're honest, we in Germany are particularly watching because of a certain person who sits in front of the PC with long hair and will soon have short hair again, or possibly even be bald again. We should be very curious. Bitcoin can, of course, also generally rise in all assets, meaning the top assets based on market capitalization can certainly increase here. And indeed, Bitcoin has now been ahead of silver for a while. It is the 7th largest asset in the world. That's quite a lot, one must really say. And MicroStrategy has, of course, been able to expand, but just recently, they really slipped down again. At one point, they were at 97 among all stocks in the world. Then one would have to exclude gold, silver, and Bitcoin here. Then you would arrive at MicroStrategy with 97 respectively. 7th and 90th place. Yes, we see here that Bitcoin is not tied to a country, meaning it is not bound to any nation, but Bitcoin is global and has certainly been able to rise recently. Gold and silver, as we see here, have weakened a bit in recent days, and that has been noticeable. Therefore, it was easy for Bitcoin to surpass silver. And here, Bitcoin is on its way to soon surpass Google. And then Amazon is already in sight. And then there's a big gap to Microsoft, but Google and Amazon are definitely within reach if we see 100, 110, or whatever, 1,000. So we should be very curious. This whole situation is currently very interesting. And we can see, of course, that a lot of new money is being pumped into the market, and it's quite amusing. I believe in our Telegram group, people are already annoyed because I started writing whenever Tether, that is USDT, is newly mined in large amounts. It looks like this. I started writing here 1 billion for Tether, another 100 million from Tether, a new billion for the market, and yet another new billion for the market. These are all instances when Tether mints a new billion, meaning it creates a new billion USDT, which is then pumped into the market. It is then distributed to exchanges and sold off. This is also because this money is in demand at Tether. Essentially, you go to Tether and say, look, we would like to have this and that amount of dollars and need it for example, or exchange. That's why here is the money. Please mint it, digitize it. In this case, yes, but not only Bitcoin has been able to rise in the last days or hours, we have also seen that companies have increased significantly. Let's take a look at that shortly. Why? How could this happen? And of course, other Lido stake. Naturally, the staked ethers rise automatically as well, no question. It's similar to WebBTC. Yes, and otherwise, if we take a look, 2021 should still see a big winner, optimism. Exactly here, the topic of second layer, respectively. Third layer in this case with optimism, yes, with this modular principle, which they have as an option. A lot is happening right now. As I said, why it is currently rising, we will take a look at that shortly. This is, of course, partly because money is being pumped in here through Tether and because there is a demand for money. Bitcoin is rising, of course, due to institutional demand with Bitcoin ETFs, no question. And of course, there are many other news. Coinex is even holding a giveaway of $200 in Nacho tokens, the KC20 token, which you can win here, and 10 users can each win 20 Nacho. The requirement is $100 trading volume. This means register at Coinex, then trade for $100, and you can win 20 here. Being among the first 10 users is worthwhile. It is a simple crypto exchange with over 1,000 listed tokens and easy deposit and withdrawal options via Visa, MasterCard, Apple Pay, SEPA, bank transfer, and so on in various currencies like Euro, US dollar, etc. You can directly buy Tether or directly trade Bitcoin and others. At the same time, you can also sell assets like USDT, BTC, and ETH. All this is also possible via Visa, MasterCard, SEPA, and bank transfer. Very easy, very simple. At the same time, buying is also very simple as you have a swap function. For example, if you have USDT at Connect, you can easily swap it for Bitcoin or one of the other 1,000 cryptocurrencies. You hold this in your wallet just like when you buy spot, meaning you buy spot trading, as one knows it via limit and market price. For example, you can easily buy Bitcoin here with USDT, but also with USDC and other currencies. At the same time, you can also engage in futures trading, and copy trading is available here. Additionally, there are bonuses offered by CryptoYule exclusively for new users, over 100 USD that you can take advantage of here. Check out Coinex and use the link in the pinned comment. In the video description for registration, this morning, Bitcoin was able to rise well, and we had another new all-time high, and then the Bitcoin sell-off started, which means sold off. A slight pullback. I personally also assume that we might see them again before we see them. I am very curious to see how this all unfolds. Feel free to share your comments on whether you see it the same way. But another one was able to rise and some were surprised. Specifically, companies were able to gain a bit here. Looking at the last hour's chart, we see a movement of 1 hour, so a total of 3 hours of 7%, which is over 200, which is of course very good for companies lately, because everyone says Bitcoin is rising, but not much is happening with companies. And that is exactly the case now, that here we see it here in comparison to these candles. A large green candle could be placed after Bitcoin has been steadily rising and companies look more like a heartbeat. But now a big breakout this morning. What could that be due to? Of course, on one hand, we see new USDT, meaning new money coming into the market, but we have seen an interesting statement from Larry Fink, and he spoke about real-world assets, and he said exactly this here.
Well, no, I actually believe the underlying technology is fantastic because the blockchain will help you accelerate the processes of transactions. The blockchain will help you identify. I mean, let's be clear, if you have a pure blockchain and you have everyone, you have knowledge of who the buyers and sellers are, we could then we don't need custodians anymore.
He says it here, namely, if we have a clear blockchain, we can see exactly who the buyers are and who the sellers are. We had the whole topic before with the issue of certificate trading, where a lot of nonsense is really being done, and it is actually only managed by two large companies, who sells here and who does not. And that certificates are sometimes even issued twice, although they actually only exist once, because the forest, among other things, has other things behind it, which only exists once. But the certificate is often sold twice because it is not clear who currently owns it, who possesses it, and whether the forest is still existent at all. Yes, and he says here that with a blockchain, everything could become easier, and we can also see it in his facial expression, how he laughs at the end. He says we no longer need companies because with the blockchain, everyone can conduct trade themselves. And he says this with a big laugh, showing that in 2021, this is actually a great thing. Larry Fink, the CEO of BlackRock, who also has a corporate ETF, is of course excited about it. And these are statements that push companies again, because it is said work is being done on this in the end. But one must be curious whether the Bitcoin blockchain can actually achieve this, to bring something like this to the Bitcoin blockchain. But first, of course, companies are the pioneers here, and this naturally pushes, among other things, companies in 2021, or also the second layer that offers such things. Those that have the best transaction options and, of course, low fees. In other words, optimism has also been able to benefit well from this statement, among other things, from all the narratives we have and the continuous updates and news around the projects, and of course also affirm and optimism in this case. We could take away quite a bit from this video, namely that Tether is currently printing like crazy, real-world assets are a big opportunity, and Bitcoin, I believe there could still be a bounce. Before we see that, then we will also see a new haircut in the German Bitcoin YouTube scene. We should be very curious about what happens in the near future. You can also comment, could there still be a bounce, or do you think it goes directly to pro-Bitcoin? With Affirm, the whole situation is of course very exciting. We are far from the all-time high of 2021 and a lot still needs to happen. However, statements from Larry Fink where real-world assets are more focused on companies than on Bitcoin, but in the future that could certainly be the case, also push Larry Fink firmly here because real-world assets are already going there, and with oracles like, for example, with Chainlink or soon Supra oracles, which will soon be launched, a highly modern new oracle, it is of course possible to transfer real-world assets to the blockchain, ultimately transferring money to the blockchain, as we also saw in this video, 2021 through Tether. So it remains very exciting what awaits us in the future. For $5,000, we see that still in 2024. I believe that is unrealistic, but Bitcoin. At that time in 2024, I consider absolutely possible. However, I can imagine it might take until December. In this sense, feel free to share your opinion in the comments. I thank you for watching and see you in the next video.